Good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 157 of the Nerds United as One podcast. I'm Paul English, your host, and like always, we have a fantastic show for you and a great panel that you know and love. It's our regulars, Colton, Jack, and Mike. What's going on, boys?
Hey, everyone.
Good to
How
be.
y'all doing?
Good to
Howdy,
be.
y'all.
Let's talk some Disney.
Yes. Okay. So, as you all have been all too aware, Disney has been getting quite a lot of heat from some fans regarding the live-action Lion King. It's been very divisive. Some people love it, some people hate it. Kind of the same thing regarding the recent casting of Ariel for a live-action Little Mermaid. A lot of people are pissed off that we're getting a black Ariel. Me, I'm thinking, how the fuck are they going to film the live-action film with half the scenes being underwater? Probably a cheap as hell CGI effect, which, like, fuck that. So,
I don't know. Aquaman did underwater pretty well.
well, I don't know. Somehow I don't trust Disney to do it. Anyway, so with all the controversies going on, I think we should take a look at some Disney films that we actually want to see them give a live-action adaptation to. So, Bob Iger, if you should happen to see this, please pay attention because it's coming directly from your fan. We are going to tell you what films we want you to remake for the live action. So this is our top 5 Disney films, animated films. We want to see get a live action remake. Let's get to it. Colton, I'll come to you. What's number 5 on your list?
This is a bit of a difficult list, as some of the movies I would have picked were already made into live action and what have you. But my first movie is, it's gonna sound weird, but Pocahontas. Okay, the original Pocahontas, it's not really one of my favorites, but I feel like because some of the messages are tad, I don't know. You can tell that they meant well, but they didn't really pull them off quite so as well as they could have. So I think it's something that they could go back and try again, be a bit more, do the Native American stuff a bit better than they did originally. And I feel like I feel like there wouldn't be a lot lost in transition from animated to live action, so to speak. So yeah, number 5 on my list is Pocahontas.
That's an interesting one. All right, Jack, what about you? Number 5, what do you got?
My number 5 is Hercules.
Nice, okay.
I think that's one that they could do, and especially with it's the same thing, but how good and big Thor is, something like, a god with different powers fighting Hades and stuff. I think that could really work today. And the genre is really popular, but we haven't really had a good movie in that in a while. So I think it's one that's really due for an update, and I think it's one fans really like.
Okay, Mike, what's number 5 on your list?
Number 5 on my list is The Emperor's New Groove.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not my favorite of the Disney movies, but it is one of the funniest Disney movies out there.
That is
particularly with Patrick Warburton's Kronk. By far the funniest sidekick possibly in movie history.
How did we get back here, Grunk? They got me. By all counts, it doesn't make sense.
wrong lever.
Patrick Warburton, man. Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, and and Yzma is also hilarious in a really odd, evil way. But making Cusco into an alpaca would be probably the biggest challenge. But hey, if they can make an entire movie made of CG lions, I don't see how a single alpaca should be a big problem. Nor having squirrels talking. Well, not talking, but talking to Kronk. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So yeah, my number 5, Emperor's New Groove.
Okay, interesting. So number 5 on my list is Tarzan. I love this movie. I think I would definitely love to see a live action adaptation. See some amazing swinging, get some athletic butt, and then of course those legendary Phil Collins songs that introduced me to the genius that is Phil Collins, and now he's my favorite musician ever. Let's hear those again, man. Come on. Soak those up, and yeah, Tarzan. I want to see live action Tarzan, please.
I like those songs, but Phil Collins is by nowhere near the greatest musician of all
I
time.
said my favorite.
He still shouldn't be. He's personally, he's really not that great of a person either.
I've not heard anything that says he's a bad person. But anyway, moving on. Number 4, Colton.
I almost picked Tarzan, but I felt like it would be a little too much like, The Lion King, where it would be just a couple of humans and then basically a bunch of photorealistic CGI and what have you. But anyway, number 4 on my list, this will sound weird, but again, my pickings were kind of limited because there's so many live action remakes already, but I picked The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's obviously a very Disney-fied version of the story, and of course they can't go too close to what the actual story is like because that's a really effed up story. But I feel like they actually have room to, make it like it, just not quite the same. And they can also tone down on a lot of the humor from the Gargoyles, to say the least. And I feel like, while a lot of people really love Frollo as a villain, I think that doing it in live action again and just doing the story once more, they can tap into they can make it a bit more complex as opposed to the very, very complete monstrous villain he was in the animated story. So number 4 on my list is The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
All right, Jack, number 4 on your list is?
My number 4 is Aladdin 3.
Really?
It's not a bad choice.
They're like Colton said, a lot of them have been done, and after seeing the Aladdin live action, I just want to see more Aladdin, and I want to see more Jasmine.
You just want to jerk off to Naomi Scott. Get a fucking poster, please. All right, just get a poster. Mike, number 3 on your list is?
Number 3?
I'm sorry, number 4.
Yeah, thank you. Number 4 on my list is The Sword and the Stone.
Just missed my list, actually.
Yeah, I forgot about that movie.
I've heard rumors that one is possibly in play, but I mean, quite frankly, most of the movies that we talk about here are possibly in play. So,
I think it's rumored for Disney Plus.
But I mean, growing up, this was one of my favorite Disney movies. I like how Merlin could kind of quasi break the fourth realm and actually reference modern things while nobody else knew what the hell he was talking about. But I mean, the story of Wart/Arthur kind of learning from Merlin and kind of growing into his own, I thought it was a solid story as well. And you really wouldn't. I mean, the biggest CG point would be the wizard battle between Merlin and Madame Mim. So, yeah, number 4 is Sword in the Stone.
All right. Number 4 on my list is Treasure Planet. Now, admittedly, this is one I did not get a chance to see, but I love the Treasure Island story. I am a huge fan of the story. I think it's a fantastic adventure story, and I would love to see a live-action interpretation of this done by Disney with that futuristic sci-fi thing. I think the way the technology has progressed, some of the designs that you see would just be tailor-made for live action. So, Disney, let's get this one done, okay? Treasure Planet, please. Let's go. All right, number 3, Colton, go. And this time it really is number 3.
Yeah, number 3 on my list is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. It's a movie that I never actually saw, and actually not many people saw it, really. That's actually a good thing, because it's a movie that people could... It's a movie that, since there's no real nostalgic attachment to it, there isn't like a heavy burden on the live-action people, so to speak. Like, they don't have a high bar set to live up to, like with The Lion King and all their other films, so to speak. So it can give them a bit more room to work with, I guess you could say, rather than having to say, okay, here's how we can't, if we fuck up this specific scene, the fan base will never forgive us, or something along that line. Plus, it's it's an empire underwater and everything. I feel like that would be pretty exciting to watch them bring the world of Atlantis to life, and whatever sort of adventures take place down there. So number 3 on my list is Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Just barely missed my list.
Jack, number 3 on your list is?
Another Aladdin, Aladdin 2.
Oh my!
But I don't know how they could do another Aladdin based on the way the new movie ended. I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but it ends differently than the animated movie. So I don't know how they would do it, but it's making a ton of money. it might hit $1 billion. So I think Disney's going to seriously consider making another one. And I mean, the casting was incredible.
All right, Mike, what's number 3 on your list?
Number 3 on my list. Stay with me here. Robin Hood. But
I like it.
with the anthropomorphic animals.
So photorealistic CGI.
I was thinking more of along the lines of like Andy Serkis, Planet of the Apes type thing. Yeah, have actual actors do everything, act it all out, but with the mocap suits on, and then add in the characterizations afterwards. So it's still a walking, talking fox, but it's still the actor underneath.
Okay, that makes sense.
Not sure if I ever saw that movie.
Oh, it is. Well, I said Stones and Stone was one of my favorites. Robin Hood was my favorite growing up. I love that movie so much, and I think with the way mocap is nowadays, you could easily do something like that.
All right, nice pick. Number 3 on my list is Hercules. I do enjoy this movie very much. I love the song music in this. I love the way Hercules was captured. Although really, the truth is, I want to see James Wood. I want to hear James Wood voice Hades again. Because by God, he owned the shit out of that role. So, can you imagine putting his face with the blue and red fire just pouring all? Oh my God! Yeah, get this done, Disney, please. This was an underrated film. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people did. So yeah, Hercules, number 3. I want to see this happen. All right, number 2, Colton, go.
Number 2 on my list is Treasure Planet. Again, a Disney movie that not a lot of people have a whole lot of nostalgic attachment to, so that gives the Disney team a bit more free reign to, less of a burden. But it's also pirates in outer space in the future. How can you go wrong with that? The way that technology has progressed now, it could look truly spectacular. And Treasure Planet, Treasure Island is a classic story, so seeing it get updated and seeing them, do another adaptation, do a live action version of this update of the story can be a good thing to watch. There's nothing. Again, there wouldn't be anything lost in the transition from animation to live action, I think, and it could actually there would be a distinct feel between the two films. I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
All right, Jack, number 2 on your list is?
Number 2 on my list is Peter Pan.
Hasn't that already happened, though? I mean,
not by
Disney.
Disney.
A Disney film, or haven't they already done a live-action Peter Pan? I don't know.
There's been live-action Peter Pans, but not by Disney.
Okay.
The latest movie that came out was Warner Brothers with Pan. I want to say it was 2015. I can't remember the exact year. So, but Disney has not done it, and this was one of my favorite Disney movies growing up. So I really just want to see this adapted based on the Disney story, not based on anything else, just based on what Disney did.
Okay. Jack, Mike, number 2 on your list is?
Number 2 on my list, you want to talk about movies that not many people have emotional attachment to. This movie almost tanked the studio back in the 80s. The Black Cauldron.
Never saw it.
I was just watching the Nostalgia Critics review of that. I tried to. I never finished it.
I love the movie. I'm one of the few that do. It is so un-Disney-like. It is creepy as hell. The Horn King is downright chilling when you see him. He's the main villain, obviously. This movie tanked. It lost the studio money. They almost tanked. They almost went under, but thankfully, a little movie called Little Mermaid made money back for them. But I have heard that this one is actually not too far away from being made. But it is very, very creepy, especially at the end. But it is still a fun sword and sorcery type movie. And I think they could do a really great job with it.
It's based on a series of books also, so they could definitely get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yes. This was kind of loosely based on the first and second books, but there are like 4 books in the entire series, and the second book is called The Black Cauldron. So, my number 2 is The Black Cauldron.
Okay, number 2 on my list is also Disney's Robin Hood. And this is my favorite Disney movie of all time, at least as far as anime goes. I freaking love Robin Hood. admittedly, it's not the most historically accurate. And, I mean, you got the classic Errol Flynn version. You got the Kevin Costner one. You got the Russell Crowe one. All very good. But, I mean, I've got a soft spot for Disney. It was my first introduction to the Robin Hood legend. I've seen this movie probably 100 times. And Caleb will back this up. We were in Walmart together one day several years ago. I saw it on Blu-ray, and I yelped. I was so excited. I bought it instantly, even though I was on a budget. I was like, fuck budget. I'm buying this because I love the movie that much. And I still have it to this day. It's in my shelf. So, yes, I would love to see a live-action interpretation of this Disney classic. And whether they do motion capture or actual people, I don't know. I'm a little unfan by the way. I want to see them happen. Come on, Disney. This is one of the greatest stories of in Western history. Make it happen. Put your spin on it in a live-action remake. Let's go. Let's see some archery. All right. Okay, so here we go. We're up to number 1. Colton, what do you got?
You say something, Jack?
I said drum roll. It's number 1.
Yep.
Number 1 on my list is Peter Pan. Okay, yes, as it's been stated, Peter Pan has been adapted in live action format a couple of times. We got Pan, we got the 2003 Peter Pan, we got Hook, and we got his appearance in Once Upon a Time. But I just really enjoy this movie. It's an exciting adventure. I mean, sure, Pan is a jerk, but he's an entertaining one. And after we saw Disney, what they did with the first Pirates of the Caribbean, it would just be cool to see pirates in live action again. I can't remember the last time we've seen pirates in a while, outside of the Pirates of the Caribbean, that is. So, seeing pirates fighting against a flying boy and his band of ragtag lost boys while watching Wendy having to put up with all their idiotic shenanigans, I would love to see that again. It's like this has my favorite versions of Wendy, Captain Hook, and Peter Pan and everything. So I think it would be pretty funny and pretty exciting to see this all done in a live action format. Maybe give them a bit more. Given how short the film is, they could probably have a bit more room to add to the story and also work on the depiction of the Indians, to say the least. So number 1 on my list is Peter Pan.
Okay, Jack, what's number 1 on your list?
Paul, you're not going to be happy with my number 1.
What?
A Princess Jasmine solo prequel film.
That doesn't exist. That doesn't count.
I'm kidding. No, my number 1 is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I love this movie as a kid. Ever since they started doing these Disney reboot live actions, I've been like, you got to do this one. You got to do this one. Because there's so much they can do with it, especially with effects today. I think they can really make it and maybe change it a little, but I think it would be really cool.
All right. Mike, what's number 1 on your list?
I really went outside the box for this one. It's the only Pixar movie I could see them doing a live action version of, The Incredibles.
I didn't even think about Pixar.
It's Disney, it's animated, and I mean, The Incredibles, they're humans. They have superpowers. It's a comic book movie, but it's not based on a comic book. It's based on Fantastic Four, let's be honest. But it's based on
Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if they could get the characterizations of the family correct, I think they could do a really good job and just really have fun with showing off the powers in live action. So don't get me wrong, Incredibles is my favorite Pixar movie of all time, but I think out of all of the movies that they've done, this is the only one that really kind of could work as a live action movie. So yeah, my number 1 is Incredibles.
Choice.
If they do it, they have to get Samuel Jackson back as Frozone.
Wouldn't that be kind of? I mean, Samuel Jackson is like 70 or something, isn't he?
Have you seen Captain Marvel? They could de-age him for it.
Yeah, but he can't pull off the stunt work.
He can't run to save his ass. Okay.
Oh, dude, Anthony Mackie would be a pretty good Frozone, though.
Definitely.
Okay. Anyway, my number 1, and this is kind of obvious, but it's Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Now, I did see this movie when I was a kid. I was 10. I think 10, 11 when I saw it, and I enjoyed this film. I thought the visuals were astounding, and I do seem to recall thinking, this would look really cool in live action. With this technology, I don't think technology can do it, but now it can. Seeing the ship, the Leviathan, the incredible city of Atlantis, holy fuck. I would lose my mind seeing Atlantis come to life that way. It would look so cool, and I just thought it was a fun adventure. And really, we need to. I think Disney should be focusing on that. I mean, this film. I can't think of a Disney film that is more tailor-made for live action than Atlantis. So Disney, make it happen. This is what we want to see. All right.
Actually, you know what they could do with Atlantis? They could bring in Joss Whedon to direct it because he was part of the writing staff for that one.
We could. And just as a tie-in, that actress that Disney just cast to play Ariel in the live-action Little Mermaid, I was looking at her, I was thinking, she actually looks like the princess in Atlantis. So, I mean, cancel Little Mermaid and cast her to play the role, for God's sakes. That would work great.
Have you seen
and
those?
I don't think anyone's going to complain about it.
Have you seen those image manipulations that make Tom Holland and Zendaya look like the two characters from that, the two leads?
No, I have not.
They look pretty spot on, especially Zendaya. They gave her like the glowing eyes. It looks really, really good. Look it up.
I think I saw the Tom Holland one.
All right, guys. So that is going to wrap up episode 157 of the show. I want to thank everyone for coming in. Colton, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here, man.
Jack, thank you for being here as well.
This was great. Hi, Naomi Scott, if you're watching this.
Dude, get a poster and start Jack jerking off, please. Because seriously, I'm getting sick of this. Mike, thank you for
keep
being
it
here.
PG-13, man. Or wait, we drop F-bombs here. What am I saying?
Yeah, we're adults. Okay.
Naomi Scott is attractive. I'll give you that. But there's
you're taking it too far.
Yeah, pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, pull the down, boy. Okay, down. All right,
guys. Make us get a squirt bottle.
Okay, we'll see you next time, guys. Before this gets too great, have a good one. Bye-bye.